Hey, Nigel.
What is knob polishing?
You're gonna make me say this? I am a neglected man.
I like to think that I look like a jack, even though my name's really Bob.
Does he have danglers or something?
Well, it's time to go do them lighthouse duties.
Sitting in the cheese at the old Walmart to cool off.
That should be the headline. Man tasered in the nuts after stealing beef.
Yeah, but you're not gonna sit in the cheese. You're not gonna sit in the cheese, and you're not gonna put ribeyes down your pants either.
House cleaning is secondary. So what is the Viagra triangle?
Possibly we aid in your digestion.
I don't know if his little hand is smaller than his little ears or what.
Aw, well maybe he has a syndrome.
You want to go check out my RV? It's parked right around the corner. Because I'm pretty sure that I saw some moose knuckle.
No.
There is absolutely some moose knuckle going on.
My swampy friend. What the hell is a swampy friend?
I know. So they're not going to get any scraping on their shaft.
Yes, I'm gonna do a downward dog.
Okay, pretty lady. You had on those gosh darn sexy leather looking shorts.
Ladies and gentlemen, and assholes, gather round. It's time for another action-packed episode of
Hi, I'm Nigel Kent.
And I'm Jazmine Starr.
And welcome to Trouble in Paradise.
Where we talk about everything amazing, auspicious, awesome, and sometimes even astastic here in Southwest Florida.
And occasionally even awkward as well. So we have some really awkward, funny stuff to talk about tonight. We've got some crazy only in Florida stories, which are like the cream of the crop. And, you know, it's been a while since we covered any kind of like metaphysical, extra natural kind of stuff. But there's been a really cool report of a dogman sighting in, I believe, the Jacksonville area. And there's some like really cool video to go along with that. We're going to talk about that. And we're going to play Pick Your Poison.
Whoop, whoop. So, yeah.
But first,
I know. As I'm trying to figure out where we are. We did not get back to anybody any sooner than we had anticipated. We were going to live stream actually during your trip that you took to Cleveland. And that didn't work out as we had planned.
So our plan was actually pretty cool. What we were going to do is we were going to FaceTime each other while tracking our bicycle rides in two separate states,
right,
and podcasting all at the same time.
Exactly.
So we were going to use, I was going to use OBS to make the video. We were going to FaceTime each other. We were going to track our Strava locations and then run the whole thing back with screen recordings and just make this really cool.
It was going to be super cool. But what happened? Why did that happen?
Well, that didn't happen because some asshole stole my bike on the way to Cleveland. Some rioter stole my bike.
That's true.
Yeah. So I was driving to Cleveland via I-77, which, you know, anybody that goes from Florida to Ohio over and over knows is the freeway that passes through Charleston, West Virginia, which until a couple weeks ago was one of my favorite places to stop. But there just happened to be a group of protesters marching through the streets, protesting the George Floyd murder, or the apparent George Floyd murder, depending on which conspiracy theory you subscribe to. Anyway, big group of protesters, not happy people, and I made the mistake of parking my car with a brand new Saris Bones bicycle rack on the back of it, locked on, with a bicycle locked on to that, with the cable through the frame and through both wheels. And those bastards still stole my bike.
Yes.
In the parking garage of the hotel.
Yeah. With security cameras and everything.
Yeah, because they just don't care.
Right.
And I had to leave because I was in a pretty big hurry to get to Cleveland for some family matters.
Yeah.
And
so apologies for our little hiatus that we had before getting back with this cast today. But that would be the reason why. And hopefully in the near future, we can pull off our super cool super cool podcast where we're
Yes.
actually cycling and everything. I think that would be a lot of fun.
That could be the makings of a whole new program. Like I could see that being like a weekly cyclecast, like if we could get like the breathing and the audio to be at a reasonably listenable
Right.
level to where we're not like from, cycling.
Can you
real
do
hard.
that again?
That could actually be something that I think a lot of cyclists would enjoy listening to,
Right.
Or watching on YouTube.
Yeah. And there are some hurdles to do with that because I actually did try to run some video of a trip that I took when you were gone. I went on a bike trail, so they called it.
Which trail? Oh, the
The Matlacha.
Matlacha to St. James City Trail that
Yes.
isn't a trail.
Yes, but the light at the end of the tunnel, which after driving or riding through the desert was that where the sidewalk ends, I actually ended up falling at the Ragged Ass Saloon, and it was absolutely amazing.
The Ragged Ass Saloon.
Yes,
The pride and joy of St. James City, ladies and
It's like
gentlemen.
a motorcycle bar that's out in the middle of nowhere. And every Saturday and Sunday from 2 to 5, they have live music. And not even knowing, what I was getting myself into, I was alone. It was a crappy ride. And then I fell upon this little gem out in the middle of nowhere. So...
And then after I got home from Cleveland yesterday, you actually took me to that little gem.
yeah.
And let me describe a couple things about this little gem. It's down in a puddle. So to get into the main entrance, you have to get your feet wet if it's raining,
True.
which it was raining like crazy yesterday.
Yes.
And let's see, what else about it? It does have a bandstand. It has a dirt parking lot.
Yeah.
And I was offered, a guy in a wheelchair offered me his spot.
He
So,
did. That was like,
That was like, I'm like, he's like, well, I could just sit on this other guy's lap. And then the other guy looked at me like, I don't know, man.
yeah.
So I just thanked him and we went inside after that. But
Yeah. But, that would be the kind of area that maybe, those remote areas like that, we might actually see our next story.
yeah, well, that's true. That's a good point, especially if we were going to do a cycling style, video program where we're actually going to new places together and kind of
Right.
live streaming the whole thing. It would be pretty cool. It could be kind of like Anthony Bourdain used to travel the world and basically educate people about communities by talking about the food that they ate. But I don't want to get killed by the deep state.
I don't want to get killed by any state.
Yeah, well, I don't want to get killed by anybody or anything, but
Right. But speaking of that, along the ride, there were the bullet holes and everything and the bus stop out there. I mean, it is out there for anybody who's never been in that neck of the woods.
yeah, it didn't look that rough, though. I mean, it's
No,
Pine Island.
it's-
It's the south end of Pine Island, which is just to the northwest of Cape Coral, for anybody that knows Florida geography. And I don't know Florida geography very well.
Right.
So,
Matlacha. You go past or through Matlacha.
Matlacha. And you love to say Matlacha because one time I pronounced it Matlaka.
Yeah.
So that's how James Hetfield from Metallica says the name of the TV show Matlock. Matlaka.
Matlacha. All right.
Well,
So,
but anyway, so the trip to Cleveland was great, I guess. Didn't really get any real socializing or anything like that in, but took care of some family business, which was important.
it was.
And got the heck back down to Florida, which is great. Shout out to a couple people that hit us up on Twitter while I was out of town. Thank you guys. You know who you are. But there is this disturbing video that I came across online. How's that for a hard segue?
I love disturbing.
Yes, you do.
You had me at disturbed.
Now, did you have a chance in your off time to do some homework on
I
this
briefly
Dogman
did.
thing?
I briefly did a little.
And what do you know? Like, can you give us a crash course in what you know about Dogman?
Okay, so Dogman is a legend that falls under cryptozoology. It's potentially one of the cryptids. It's not just related to
Every
not
time.
just related to Florida.
Every time.
But I actually found a lot of information on Dogman in the Michigan area.
I think they like peninsulas. I think that's what part of the issue is.
Well, the origin is of Native American lore as a potential explanation. Warlike tribe that had the ability to transform into creatures when going into battle. Since wolves were perhaps the scariest in those times, and then the other theory is that they may have just used the pelts when they were going into battle to cover themselves, so they look like wolves.
Interesting. So one possible and like realistic non-supernatural explanation for a dogman in the past would have been somebody dressing up for battle, but you're saying that others said that they could actually transform into the creature.
Right. The alternative theory is the legend that these beasts are spirit creatures that come to this world in spirit form and then return to the spirit world.
Interesting.
And then you have the skeptics, non-believers, that their theory would be that it's a wolf or a wolf hybrid, and that any mammal that is motivated or if trained can perform bipedal locomotion.
Okay.
So that would be the non-believers. But those of us like myself that like to believe in legend, like to believe in the paranormal and supernatural, and get all into this kind of stuff and love cryptids.
Can we dissect the non-believers' possible explanation number 4 there?
Sure.
Any mammal can be trained in bipedal.
Like Shiloh. Could you see Shiloh? Actually, though, I will give her this. Shiloh, my dog.
She can stand on 2 feet.
She can.
I can't see her getting around very much.
Well, I think if she were motivated by food, she could run a marathon because she's she's very food oriented. But I don't think any mammal.
How about those creepy cat videos where the cats get freaked out and they walk away on 2 feet? Like,
right. They're motivated by fear. So, I mean, those are the people that are saying like that kind of stuff.
Okay.
I don't personally believe it. I don't think that there are people today
why
that
do they
run
call
around.
it Dogman, though? Because dogs don't walk around on 2 legs either.
Well, and I don't think that typically a man is going to throw on some animal pelt or a wolf pelt and run around in the woods. Like that just... Maybe they do, but I don't think that that's what some of these sightings are.
Well, let me just tell you this. None of what you described explains any of what is in this video.
I'm glad, because that's what legends are made of.
Okay. Now, I've only ever, this is the first time
I just looked up to see this man's,
okay.
Yes.
Now, this dude is scared. I haven't watched this whole video. I've watched about half of it. This guy is freaked out because he has seen something in his backyard, and he's trying to cope with what he has just witnessed. And
where is he at? He's in Fort Pierce, Florida?
It's Fort Pierce, yeah. So it's
okay.
Well north of here.
All right.
And this is also my first exposure to Dogman. Prior to this, and I found out about this story looking for only in Florida stuff, like Florida Man stuff.
Yeah.
To talk about. But I came across
Dogman is actually like a legend that goes like through many states.
Well, I always thought Dogman was just a really good song by King Zex, which is a great band, underrated. So let's
see what he has.
Let's roll this video and see what this guy thinks. Now he's we'll try to get the audio up as good as we can on this for everybody.
show y'all that I ain't capping on no screenshot shit or editing no photos and none of that shit. I'm finna open my fucking back door up and show y'all that the picture came from in the back of my fucking yard, man. Let me see if I can flip this bitch around. That's the exact motherfucking spot now. That's my backyard. I'm zoom it in a little piece. This is the exact spot that I just. This is the exact spot that I just. This is the exact spot that I just.
So what do you think that is?
What do I think that is?
Yeah.
I think that's refractory light coming from the movement of his phone and that light that's overhead.
You do. So you think this is just a little optical illusion here?
I think he's looking in his phone. Do I doubt that he's potentially had some...
Like maybe he's really high or something and he's hallucinating? Because that to me is...
Okay.
That's pretty legit looking, right? You think that that's some kind of light refraction that just happens to be in...
Okay, so you have a light overhead. It is interesting.
I mean, that looks like
Now,
something running.
His reaction is interesting. But if he were looking... Okay, so for those of you that are listening and aren't watching what this video is, this guy goes out in his backyard and it's not the greatest image, but you do see movement on the camera of a humanoid-looking figure that appears to be very tall in relation to
It looks stick-legged.
the background that runs across the camera.
It runs and it turns in mid-stride as well.
Well, okay, so... This is where I try to get out of my paranormal investigation background. And yes, I used to do that for any of the listeners that didn't know that. There is a thing that's called pareidolia, and that's where your brain will try to make sense of and fill in the blanks of what they're seeing. What I would be interested in knowing more is... Was he looking at his phone at the time because he's focusing on his phone?
Yeah. Like, was he looking at the
or was he
camera on his
looking
phone?
out at the woods or whatever's back there?
Yeah.
The only problem I have with that is that you do have that light, that's overhead, and cameras and light can do a lot of funny things.
I don't think.
But his reaction sounds...
All right, you've seen. I mean, this dude's been smoking, right?
He's smoking a cigarette. We don't know. We can't. I'm not going to profile him and say that he smoked something else.
No, man. I'm just saying,
but he's smoking a cigarette.
He's so mellow, though. I would be losing my shit. I think he's,
I wouldn't be losing my shit. I would be so like.
He said he saw it more than once. The video opens with him having already witnessed it.
Right.
And so now he's going to see if he can catch it on camera, and then just like that. He tries to find it, and then boom, it comes through his camera, and he's like, that's what I'm talking about. Okay. I have a tendency to believe he's authentic.
Is there any more evidence?
Well, let's watch some more of the video here.
Okay, because that I won't let.
I'm dead ass fucking serious, dog. I don't know what the fuck is going on around this motherfucker, dog, but I just recently, I'm seeing some crazy ass fucking shit, and I'm trying to make sure I ain't fucking tripping, dog. Like, real deal. I'm trying to make sure I'm not fucking tripping, man. Like,
I want to sit down and just
This
talk
shit
to
is
this
not making
guy.
no fucking sense to me right fucking now, man. Like, what the fuck, dog? Listen, I'm sitting at my fucking bed. Man, I don't know, dog. I promise you, I don't and this is not no fucking illusions and shit, dog.
I love that he's
promise you,
using
this is
dog,
not no
and
fucking
yet
illusion
I don't know
shit going on
dog, and
right
yet
now,
he's
dog.
talking about
I
dog
was
man.
sitting at my back door smoking a cigarette.
I don't think he knows what dog
On the phone talking to my friend.
Right, he's just talking about
you know, I
this.
like to sit back here at my back door and, you know, look at the back, the woods and shit. So, when I first looked back there, it ain't look like it was shit there. But then, I could have sworn I seen something move. So I'm like, is that a fucking man standing over there? So as I'm looking, you know, it's kind of dark over there inside the bushes. So I really couldn't see. So something told me, take a picture. So I continued to talk on my phone. And went to my camera as I was talking. And started, you know, pointing my camera that way. But I was still talking and just, you know, started tapping on it. Like taking numerous of pictures of it.
Okay, so let's see here.
Is this a freeze frame?
Well, he said something was telling him, take a picture.
I shut my door after I smoked my cigarette. I left. Some say, I came back like, I'm going to say about 30, 40 minutes later to smoke another cigarette. Some say, go look through the pictures. I was still on the phone. And when I looked, I looked at numerous of them and you could start to see the shadows of it. And then it showed its whole half of its fucking face, dog. It showed half of the fucking face, dog. I'm just fucked up in the head right now, dog. Like, I really don't know what the fuck going on, man.
I think you should go for a walk in the woods.
Real ass nigga shit. Like, this ain't no
All right, so what I would like to do is find out where he lives. I would love to interview him, and I would love to go
And check it out in person.
I would totally check it out in person.
I mean, I think that would be great. I just, the guy's either, you know, really, really good at portraying somebody who is freaked out by what they've just
But it's
seen,
not polishing.
or
You're gonna make me say this.
Okay, I can't stand this sometimes.
Neglected man.
I got to figure out OBS because the Steam music wants to always play. But anyway, I mean, he seems pretty legit. Like I don't know this dude, but I'm assuming he's pretty.
He
seems
does
sincere.
seem like he legitimately had an experience. One thing that sticks out to me as an intuitive is the fact that he said something told me to take a picture, and I'm always one that is a firm believer in following your intuition and trusting your intuition. So the fact that he's feeling that something told me to take a picture, and yet that's what he does, and he's able to capture by listening to his intuition, potentially Dogman, or what's believed to be Dogman. So this is interesting. I like this. I love that you picked this because you know this is right right up my alley of weirdness.
Well, the motion on that video is so, like, it's recognizable as the movement of a creature. Like, you instantly realize now it's ghostly. It's sort of almost you can see through it.
It wasn't what I expected whenever you first told me that you had. Like, I was expecting something maybe more
Like skunk ape.
or more like showing more density, but it does have a ghost-like kind of quality, which is where I start to wonder, okay, do we have some like light refraction or something that's causing that movement or something?
Wouldn't that light have refracted in concert with the way the rest of the frame was moving?
Yeah, I mean, if you watch enough things, though, like the way bugs will fly across like an IR and everything.
Yeah,
and
it looks like a
"Ooh,
streak.
it's an orb. Oh, look, there's a UFO.
It's just a bug, right?
Right,
It's a squiggly.
or,
It's
you
because
know.
it flew through it at night.
Right,
Long
and
exposure.
it's close. So it's difficult, but his reaction is actually very believable. So
that's what sells it for you.
I'm a split on this one.
Okay.
I'm a split.
Well, then probably what we ought to do is figure out how to get in touch with this guy.
I would
mean,
love to get in touch with him. I would love to talk to him and get his account. And how far is Fort Pierce from here?
About 4 hours north.
I would totally
Go check it out. Go check out his yard.
Ask him if we can camp in his backyard.
I don't know about that. He does look like he has enough room, though.
Well, I don't know. I kind of got a weird vibe from maybe his potential neighborhood, but
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
just a feeling I have.
Just a feeling.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Fort Pierce is it's backwoods. I mean, it's definitely in the country. It's out there, and there's an army fort and a whole bunch of rundown
Yeah.
storefronts and places where you can gamble your money.
Right. So interesting, if any time there's a fort, you have the potential for battle over territory. So that can fall in line with the possibility that you do have some Native American energy
Yeah.
that's left there.
Yeah.
So maybe it isn't this cryptid, but
Maybe it's
potentially
a ghost of a real dog man.
potentially maybe he's captured some evidence as well of someone who's passed on that was perhaps a Native American that was like they were describing where they would wear the animal pelts,
Yeah.
And again, it wouldn't matter cryptid or not, it's actually kind of really cool.
Yeah. For sure. I need to ask you some questions. We started a new segment a couple months ago now called Pick Your Poison.
Yeah.
And this is a segment where we ask each other if we'd rather do this thing or that thing. And we have to choose one or the other.
Yeah.
And that's it. And did we actually, are we going to take a stab at predicting what we think the other person will answer as well, or no?
We didn't do that.
I don't
the
think
first
we did
time.
that, no.
No, but I just it was more just to kind of allow people that listen to us
To get to know us.
to get to know us in maybe a weird and wacky way, because these are a little unconventional, some of the questions.
True. Especially the ones that you write. Mine, yours are very there's 3 paragraphs long and you get this, and this, or you get that, and that.
Right.
Which do you pick?
Right.
But would you like to go first, or would you like me to?
You can go first.
Okay, Jazmine. So, would you rather be infamous in history books or be completely forgotten from history?
Infamous.
Infamous.
Yes.
Not famous, but infamous.
Yes.
In other words, known for something terrible.
Doesn't necessarily have to be terrible to be infamous.
Okay. I like how you say infamous. So give me an example of an infamous historical figure who didn't do terrible things.
Well, I mean, come on. We're not going to get that deep on this question, but
Uh-oh. Political
just-
incorrectness coming at you.
no, I'm just going to say that I would rather know that I was able to make some kind of a mark with my life. I think that some of what I would like to eventually do in the future could potentially fall under that infamously known for, because it falls in line with what
Well, do you think
some
that,
people don't necessarily believe in.
Well, yeah, people may disagree with your methods too.
They, and
So is
I could have potentially been somebody that was strung up at the Salem witch trials.
yes.
So,
yes.
so
I think both of us probably could have been.
I would say that,
I think they had pretty low standards for that back then.
that is true. But I would like to know that my life made some kind of an impact rather than just to be forgotten and known for nothing.
Follow-up question. Is Colonel Sanders infamous for fried chicken?
No,
He's famous for fried chicken.
he's famously known for his fried chicken.
All right. Okay. All right, your turn.
All right. Boy, we are so different in ours.
Okay, here comes a long one from Jazmine Star, ladies and
There we
gentlemen.
go.
Ladies and gentlemen and
The
assholes.
prize is $1,000 for an eating contest that you have entered in as to who can eat the most, 1, mushrooms, or 2, olives in 5 minutes. Pick your poison.
So let me just make sure I understand the proposition. I am in an eating contest that I cannot get out of.
Right.
And I will get $1,000 if I win the eating contest.
Correct.
And in order to win the eating contest, I must eat the most amount of mushrooms
Or
olives
in 5 minutes. So you have to pick which one because I know that you hate both of them.
Oh boy, this is awful. Like my stomach is getting upset now just thinking about this. This is like the snakes versus roaches one. I mean, one's going to
They
be
don't get any
slightly
better, Nigel. I'll tell you that.
Are they all gross out ones
Well,
like
not
this?
necessarily, but
Oh boy, yeah. For anybody that doesn't know, Nigel does not like mushrooms or olives, among other things. I mean, I gotta say, one time when I was a kid, I was supposed to go over and visit my friend Jamie at her family's house for dinner, and her mom was making taco salad that night, and it just so happens that her mom always put olives in the taco salad as an integral part, like, you know, kind of in the beef and stuff like that. So my mom, in order to make sure that I wasn't going to embarrass her, made me eat more than one black olive before I was allowed to go over there for dinner. And that was one of the biggest gag fests and eye-watering, red-faced incidents I've ever had my entire life.
so that
I
being said.
I think I'd rather be stuck eating the mushrooms. Yes.
All right.
And mushrooms are gross because when you bite into them, they squeak on your teeth. Kind of like movie popcorn, except they don't taste good like movie
I
popcorn.
love mushrooms.
Ugh, gross. Nope.
All right.
Mushrooms even smell bad when you cook them.
Bring it on. Next question.
Okay. Would you rather never again be angry or never again be envious?
Oh my goodness.
Angry or envious?
Envious.
I
wouldn't. Not necessarily that I feel that I'm an envious person overall, but there's a lot of components to being envious. For being angry, anytime I've experienced anger, it's generally the root of anger for me generally comes down to fear, and it's identifying, okay, what am I really afraid of? Knowing that about myself,
Yeah.
I would have to say, I wouldn't want to be, I wouldn't want to feel envious. I wouldn't want to, look at another person and be like, and feel less than because I didn't have maybe something that they had or the way that they looked or, to be totally comfortable in my skin, in my life with what I have, and not worry about any of that.
Well, yeah, I think you need anger sometimes, right? But you never really need envy or jealousy.
It doesn't have any purpose. And really, I don't want to be angry. You know me, I don't want to be angry either.
True, but you can only pick one.
But like I said, I can always figure out the root cause of any anger that I have, and it always boils down for me for some kind of a fear, and it allows me to work on it in a positive way.
Okay.
Whereas envy is a little bit harder for me to work on, I think.
That's true. Well,
I think I would just
fear
rather
leads to anger.
I think I would just rather get rid of
the envy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's more destructive.
I'm with you. I think
it's more personally destructive.
Okay.
All right. So, Nigel, you are born within a series of Star Wars movies in which you must grow up in that time period. Do you choose episodes 4, 5, and 6, episodes 1 through 3, or episodes 7 through 9?
Can I ask you a snotty question first?
Snotty or snooty?
Both. What is a Star Wars movie?
Star Wars.
Okay. Okay, now I understand the question. Thank you for clarifying.
Open your ear holes.
Open your ear holes.
Open your ear holes and listen to me.
Okay. We got to figure out what Eunice's last name is. Star Wars. So in other words, I have to live in the Star Wars universe?
Yep, you're growing up in that.
So I get my formative years in the Old Republic, prequel era, like during the Civil War, or I guess that would be the Civil War, right? The Galactic Civil War, or the Rebellion, which would be 4, 5, and 6, right? A New Hope, Empire, and Return of the Jedi, where Luke and Leia and Han came along, and Lando and everybody, or 7, 8, 9, which is all about the Resistance. And I mean, I think I probably would go 7, 8, and 9 because the world is very much a freewheeling Old West sort of hyper-libertarian, run as a tribe, every man for himself kind of a place. Like liberty is much more prevalent in 7, 8, and 9 than it is in 1, 2, and 3, where everything is dominated by this giant political monstrosity that eventually fails the people. Mm-hmm. And in 4, 5, and 6, it's just open war against the people. They're literally going around blowing up planets just for the shit of it.
I literally have goosebumps right now listening to you talk about like breaking this down and thinking how freaking similar it is to life right now.
It seems like Star Wars is appropriate for all generations and all times. Yeah.
But I love your answer.
I think
I didn't expect that answer, but I love that answer.
I like it. I think because the era of 7, 8, and 9 is also kind of the era of The Mandalorian, where it's very freewheeling, and if you have the means, you can go there. Private organizations and gangs and tribes kind of take care of their own, which is a more fundamental kind of government than what was around in the Old Republic, which was this giant, massive, huge social welfare system with a Congress or a Senate and all these crazy representatives from every planet not getting the attention they need from the Chancellor. And it just seems like the Old Republic was very similar to what we have today. And I'm sorry for getting deep for those of you that don't get into Star Wars. Like, we are on IGTV right now, and I probably just made everybody go away. So, this is our first experiment too with doing some live streaming. So, Jazmine convinced me that it would be a good idea to do it on Instagram. So, hello everybody out there on IGTV.
Yes, and if you're on IGTV, we would be interested in your feedback and knowing what you would rather do, and pick your poison.
Yep. All right.
Cool.
So, Jazmine.
Yes.
Would you rather know the uncomfortable truth of the world, or always believe the comforting lie?
I would want to know the uncomfortable truth.
Why?
I do not handle deception well, and always having some kind of a gut reaction or feeling that walking around and just knowing that your world isn't what it really is.
Yeah,
I would rather just know what?
The real stressful thing is not having any idea. You know it's not what it is, but you have no idea what it is.
Yeah.
That's the shitty thing.
I want to know, who are the players? What's the deal? Shoot it straight. Don't sugarcoat it. Just tell me.
Yep.
What's life going to be like?
And their job is to keep that all a secret. So you'd rather know the secret?
I would rather know the secret.
So you're red pill all the way. Pulled me out of the matrix is what you're saying.
I don't want to live in the lie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Me too. Yep. I think we're all truth seekers, those of us that care to question the way things are.
So seeing that, You have no choice but to choose one of the following.
Oh boy, here we go.
Would
Pick your poison.
Would you rather lick the slide of a humid children's indoor playground? Or the seat of a porta potty at the county fair?
Okay, so my choice is I get to choose one of two things to lick with my tongue.
Yeah.
And one of them is the slide from the inside of a children's playground.
A humid, yeah, where where the rule is they have to take their shoes off. It's like just
Or
I don't want to
or-
mention the establishment that has this.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking
Yeah,
about. Like
it's
a
sticky.
children's playroom that has like
It's always sticky and stinky in there. Yeah, that
yeah,
place.
yeah.
Or
That's where kids go to get what makes them sick that night.
or run your tongue around the seat of a porta potty.
I have to run my tongue all the way around a porta potty seat.
Yeah, or you're going all the way up and down the slide.
Oh, all the way up and down? Well, how long is this slide? Because I know how big a shitter is, but I don't know how big it. The children's slides are all different sizes. This is a short slide, right?
Yeah, it's a short slide. We can, if that makes you feel better.
Yeah. Give me the kids slide all day long. I am not licking a porta potty seat. No way. I mean, my son actually barfed into my mouth one time when he was little.
Oh God!
So I think I can handle licking a slide.
That's
But
gross.
the toilet stuff, no.
That's gross.
It's gross. You've never had that happen, and you have twice as many children as I have.
Yeah, I've come close to having it land on me.
No, you've never had it even land on you.
No, I mean it's landed on me, but not in my mouth.
Oh, yeah. It landed in my mouth.
No, and having 4 boys too. I've also fought the pee shield where it's like the Karate Kid when he's doing like wax on, wax off.
Yeah.
And whatever reason, your natural reflex whenever the pee starts flying at you is to just start doing this.
All you have to do is cup your hand over the little infant penis.
I know this, but my instinct, Jasmine's instinct, is
Just
to
to flick
swat
the water
to
everywhere.
swat it
Be
away.
gone, urine.
Or that look, that startled look when it flies back and it hits them in the face, because it's like they're cocked back the other way, and then I have a lot of boy experiences like that. Moving on.
Pick your poison. Would you always rather be able to see 5 minutes into the future, or always be able to see 100 years into the future? One of the two. We're going to have to get filler music.
Define when you say 100 years into the future.
So I mean June. What is today? June. Whatever today is.
So are you saying like I could see only 5 minutes into the future and not, or when you say 100 years, like through 100 years, or only starting at 100 years? Like 100 years in the future is where I can.
Would
might
you
see
always
my
rather
vision.
be able to see the moment that is 5 minutes in the future, or the moment that is 100 years in the future?
100 years in the future.
Okay. Now, why?
Because I feel like I could be of more service to people in the future. And
You think 100 years ahead would give you more perspective than 5 minutes?
Well, 5 minutes. You can't warn people in about, potential things in 5 minutes.
You're trying to save the world.
I am. That's what.
Jasmine
Don't make
Star,
me-
ladies and gentlemen, trying to save the world.
You want to smile and giggle about it.
No,
but
I'm not making fun. I'm just
but
saying that.
really, that would be my ultimate goal. Would be to do as much as I can for humanity.
Good. Well, I have a completely different take on this one. I would rather be able to see 5 minutes into the future because I think you can prevent more unpredictable things that way.
Really?
Yeah, if you can only see 100 years into the future, then you're skipping.
What about a tornado warning? I mean, that gives them minutes, and it still doesn't stop any destruction.
Well, it also isn't accurate. But if you knew that in 5 minutes a tornado was going to knock your house down, you could go in the basement if you had one, or you could go in the bathtub. But seeing 100 years into the future isn't going to help you do that.
But
It's more self-preservation, I think, than save the world. But
I'm here to save the world. I'm not here to save myself.
oh, that is going on the next intro, the next audio intro.
Thank you. But I mean
Dun,
that.
dun, dun, dun.
I mean that. I feel more of a purpose to that, to be of a service to people and humanity than I do of any self-preservation.
Okay, fair enough. And so I guess I'm just the selfish one.
Envy.
I've been told that before.
Envy, selfish. Okay, so now that you licked your slide
Oh boy.
From
This
the
is the
previous-
gross out episode from
the
Jazmine.
previous question, you are on date number 2 with the gorgeous woman from the last Pick Your Poison.
All right, quick recap. Pick your poison. Last time we did it, I was supposed to be on a date, and go back one episode to listen to that one.
So you're on date number 2 with the gorgeous woman from our last Pick Your Poison,
So
who has... Ooh! Let me finish talking.
Okay, I think Jazmine doesn't want to be interrupted.
I don't want to be interrupted.
Okay.
Because we'll get to it.
That's the most amazing sound you've ever made.
Trust me.
Trust me.
Trust me.
Trust me. Eunice trusts you.
Who has given you a second chance despite your obnoxious wooden fart on the wooden chair fart. You know this is it if something goes wrong, but you suddenly shart from your licking episode earlier in the day. Do you, 1, end the date abruptly knowing you'll more than likely never see her again, or 2, try to excuse yourself, clean yourself up in the bathroom, and continue your date?
Okay, so this is like meta. This is like meta because like it's also a choose your own adventure where interestingly either choice from the previous question led to the same situation of needing to shart because I licked a slide or because I licked a toilet seat. So the question is, do I excuse
this girl
myself?
She's gorgeous. She's giving you a second chance. You can't believe that she's giving you the second chance.
Wait, I thought the whole reason I chose the fart in the previous episode was so that I could play it off and she wouldn't realize what happened. You're telling me she realized it anyway.
It was obnoxiously loud. You laughed and this obnoxiously loud fart came out on a wooden chair. Yes, she noticed that. And you just played it off, played it cool.
Mm-hmm.
So now you go, you lick your slide, and
Yep. Yes.
you lick your slide, and
I lick my slide, and then I decide that I am going to shart and embarrass myself in front of this girl.
yes.
And that I have to apologize or somehow excuse myself in order to fix it. And then, or I can do that, or I can just run away and never see her again. Honestly, I think I'd probably just run away and never see her again, because then she's going to have that story to tell to all of our friends, henceforth and forevermore. So let me ask you, last question for Pick Your Poison.
Yes.
Before I have to go deal with some business.
Yes.
And that question is, would you rather be born again in a totally different life or born again with all the knowledge you have now?
I'm sorry, repeat the question.
Would you rather be born again in a totally different life or born again with all the knowledge you have now?
I would say born again with all the knowledge I have now.
Okay, how come?
Life hasn't necessarily been easy. And if I could have that do-over, then I am going to do things a little bit differently, and make some different choices, and choose my own adventure a little bit differently than I did this go round.
Okay. In other words, you want to retain that sort of cosmic knowledge and
absolutely
and be a better person.
Yep.
Yep.
And
all right.
and not be as naive as I've been previously before.
I see. Yeah. Well,
And maybe
I feel very naive right now.
Maybe that's some self.
Do you feel a little bit extra naive right now? Right
I
at this
do.
particular moment?
I do.
Do you have time for one more question for me?
Question here
All
for
right.
you.
I'm looking
Nigel,
forward to this. I really can't wait. I hope this one goes really slow.
You like roulette.
I do like roulette.
You like I know you do.
Yes, I do.
You were on a game show and you have won $250,000. You can quit with the $250,000 now, or go for an opportunity for 1.25 or for 0.25 mil. Sorry,
So it's the same
totally
amount.
messing it up.
That's okay. Start over from the top.
I'm sorry. There seems to be something that's
there's a
coming in.
small distraction in the studio, which is going to have to be dealt with harshly in a minute, but I'd like to get through the remainder of today's episode.
So, roulette. You're on a game show. You have won $250,000. You can quit with the $250,000 now, or go for an opportunity for 2.5 mil.
2.5 mil?
Yes, with 1 to 2 odds of winning. Which do you choose?
So 2-to-1 odds. It's essentially 50-50. Now,
Right.
that's not the same as roulette. Roulette is slightly less than 50-50.
Right. I'm just giving you your odds. You can either guaranteed you can walk with $250,000 or risk it for 2.5 million.
Now, if it was from like $1 million to 2.5 million, I for sure would take the chance, because I don't know, maybe I wouldn't. I think I'd be more likely to take the chance with a smaller guaranteed amount. Right? So with the 250,000, much more likely to take the chance, because it takes a lot less time to earn 250 on your own. Then again, there's a lot of things that you could do with 250 that if you just flushed it down the toilet. I guess the question is, am I conservative or am I...
That's what I was trying to figure out.
Yeah.
How much of a risk taker are you?
Do you mind if before I answer, you tell me your answer? I'd be happy to write my answer down first, if you like.
No, you don't have to write it down.
Okay. Well, what's your answer to that question?
I am not a risk taker when it comes to finances.
Yeah.
So I'm going to keep the 250,000 because I know that I could do. There's a lot that I could accomplish with that, and I would be okay.
Yeah.
I would be okay with that.
With just the 250. Yeah.
Be okay with that decision.
I hear you. Yeah. Well, you know what? I think I would too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Take the money and run. That's what I would do.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, it's time for us to run.
It is.
So we would like all our listeners and followers and viewers and everybody out there in internet land to follow us on Instagram at Trouble239, on Twitter at Tipcast239, Trouble in Paradise on YouTube and Facebook, and of course, Instagram. To anybody that watched on IGTV tonight, thank you very much. And we hope you have a wonderful evening and stay out of trouble. Jazmine, anything you want to add to this?
How do you turn this thing off?